Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and happy New Year! Happy New Year! This is Focus on Liberia's special New Year broadcast. We call that Retrospecting 2021 and Prospecting 2022. This is a special New Year Day broadcast, and we have the entire Focus on Liberia team assembled here for this special broadcast. My name is Dennis Jai, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. In this broadcast, we're going to be looking at 2021. We're going to be looking at all our various shows in 2021. And I'm here with all those from the different shows, our analysts, everyone is in one place. And we're going to look at 2021 and look forward to 2022 in terms of the various shows. Focus on Liberia has a media institution and also our country, Liberia. So going around the room, I want to start with Mr. Edward Amarat. He's our West African correspondent and also a co-host on Roundtable Africa. Amarat, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jan. Good evening from Sierra Leone. I am sounding from the far east between Liberia and Sierra Leone, and very close also to Guinea. I am really thankful to be part and parcel of this program. I think this is a new year that we have begun, and we believe, and we are just hoping and praying that the story of Africa changes this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Edward Amarat. Next, I want to go to, in Canada, from Edmonton to Mr. Leo Nipulu Johnson. He's the host of the Liberian Dream. Mr. Johnson, welcome to Focus on Liberia. You're muted.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ja. I'm Leo Nipolu Johnson. I'm from Hamilton, not Edmonton, right outside of Toronto. Yeah. It's good to be here, Mr. Ja. And again, thanks to Focus on Liberia for providing such an amazing platform. I know how much it takes every day to keep the platform going. And thanks to all of the other panelists, people who have taken the time to create very informative shows and opportunities for learning, engagement, and also discussing the future of our country from very different angles as we all tend to figure out how we fit in the mosaic that is Liberia. I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to have seen 2022, and I'm looking forward to another great year for Focus on Liberia.
Thank you, Mr. Leo Johnson. Next is someone who many think is my clone. That's the guy who, when you're not talking to me, you talk to him, Mr. Anthony Sia. He's the host of the Hour of Politics. Mr. Sia, welcome to Focus on Liberia, Retrospecting 2021 and Prospecting 2022.
Thank you, Mr. Ja. I'm happy to be here. Focus on Liberia is an amazing platform. More amazing because of the individuals that we all have the opportunity to work with in elevating, educating, and promoting all things Liberia. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. Last but not the least, we have from our literary hour, and also the two happen to be members of our board of advisors. I want to start with Dr. K. Moses Nambwe. He's a co-host on the literary hour and also a member of our board of advisors. Prof, welcome to Focus on Liberia Year-End Party.
Thank you, Brother Ja. I'm glad to be here, and I have had the pleasure of working with Ms. Jackie Saye. Together, we have been driving the literary hour train, and it's been a very refreshing experience. I'm glad to be here, and I hope that we have a very fruitful discussion.
Thank you so much. Next, I want to go with Ms. Jackie Saye. Jackie, welcome to Focus on Liberia. And again, the host, co-host of the Literary Hour and member of our board of advisors here at Focus on Liberia, the people that keep us in balance. Jackie, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you, Dennis, and thanks to everyone on the panel. And I echo Anthony's words. If there's any good that has come out of this COVID, it's getting to know all of you on Focus on Liberia. And I'm very honored to be part of this team. And I am speaking to you from upstate New York.
Thank you so much. And I cannot be any happier to be leading this dynamic team, sometime John was talking about Jesus. He said, "This man, I'm unworthy to untie his shoes." So I have people here whose shoes I'm unworthy to untie, but they have agreed to work with me as their lead in this endeavor. So I am so happy. I'm honored. I'm fortunate that I'm part of this team as well. So let's go quickly. What we want to talk about, and we have more people coming in the second segment of this show, so that we talk about our various shows. What we want to do here is we're going to start with Mr. Leo Nipulu Johnson. He's the host of the Liberian Dream, to talk about just briefly what the Liberian Dream is about, and looking back at 2021, what he sees, some of his memorable shows of the year, what he looked at, and then we're going to look into 2022 and see what 2022 holds for the Liberian Dream. Leo, it's all yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jai. Yes, and again, once again, thank you for giving me the opportunity to have even birthed the Liberian Dream on this beautiful platform. But yes, so the Liberian Dream was this idea and an engagement that we need to move away from having our children, young people in Liberia, hope to be everyone else except themselves. For a very long time, myself as a young person growing up, it was always the hope that you would travel one day to America, or the hope that you would be like the Ghanaians, or our comparison was with the Ivorians or the Sierra Leoneans, or everybody would tell you, we're just in this country trying our best to one day travel. Not one day did we dream that the young boy in Joploken, or the young boy in Banga, or the young girl in Ganta, or in Zogowi could have been the inspiration for the nation, whether they were farmers, whether they were people involved in agriculture, or whether they were involved in business, or in anything for that matter. And I, for one, believe that as a country, we will only get to a place to start seeing who we really are when we look inward and start to cultivate that our children have to see that they are good enough where they are to be able to inspire the type of nation that we all hope for, rather than thinking that if they don't make it to some foreign land, or if they don't make it to some special university or some special college, they have no way to contribute to the national mosaic that is Liberia. So the Liberian Dream came from that point of view. Some of the memorable shows, one of them was me calling for the University of Liberia to be transformed into a technical college or technical university, because in its current form, it does not respond to the needs of the country. Worst of all, it only serves about 10%, if not less, of our population. So how can we have an educational institution that is supposed to be the bedrock of economic growth of our country overall, but only people in Monrovia and urban areas can actually relate to it? And the type of education they are receiving, unfortunately, Liberia is not at the place that is able to do anything with it. I believe a technical college or technical university at its best will be able to respond to the needs of the country and serve as an economic engine for where the country should actually go. That was one of my most contested shows. It sparked a lot of response from the general public.
So looking back at 2021, what do you say your major success area, and what you think you can improve on as we go into 2022?
I think my major success has been allowing people to start shifting the conversation where we can talk about Liberia outside of the realm of the political polarization, where we all can agree that the children in Banga have been deprived of being part, of being considered part. The children in Vonjama, the children in Hapo, and this over concentration on Monrovia and urban areas, this over concentration on certain sectors of our society. I think it has been an opportunity to unite the conversation in a way we don't have to figure out which political stripes we are wearing, but we can talk about Liberia in its entirety. There are major rooms, I think, for improvement. I think one of the things we can start doing now is putting out direct calls to action. I think I attempted some of that last year, which went very well later last year, but I think there's more room now for us to start giving people direct calls to action as to what can be done, especially for those staying in Liberia, those in the diaspora. I think we need to start directly challenging people as to what they can do within their means when it comes to contributing to the wherewithal and the growth of the country itself.
Thank you so much. Stay right there, and let me go to Mr. Edward Amara. He's our West African correspondent based in Freetown, Sierra Leone, also the host of Roundtable Africa. Edward Frost has our West African correspondent, also a host of Roundtable Africa. You cover a lot of issues in Africa. How is Africa from that perspective of being a correspondent in West Africa? Edward, can you hear me? All right, we're having trouble with Edward there a little bit. Let me go to our literary hour. Literary hour, or people watch that and say, oh, this is the PBS. Tell me about this PBS. Let me start with Prof. No, lady first. Let me start with Jackie. Jackie, the literary hour, tell me a little bit about the background of the literary hour. What is it that you hope to accomplish with the literary hour?
Well, the literary hour, we focus on literature, history, works of arts, primarily Liberian works of art, but sometimes we locate it in the global order, in the global community of art. What we hope to accomplish, we've always said on the show that this is a journey that we're on, and it may be that the journey may not end with us, but as we travel, we discuss things that we hope others can carry on. Specifically, we always like to say the first African novel written in English was by a Liberian, and I hear other people saying that. So I think the literary hour, more than anything, it informs Liberians and others about the contribution and the wealth of Liberian art, Liberian culture, and things that people should know. And that's what we do. We ourselves, we are on this journey, and we're taking others with us.
So Prof, after a year or so doing this, where are we now with the literary hour? What will you say about the literary hour after this mini episode?
I think at the heart of the matter is awareness. Awareness of what set of works that have come out of Liberia and how those works are a link to literary works in Africa, and in fact, even in the world. Mesai also talked about the historical aspect. Probably before now, there's been more of a controversy, whatever you want to call it, between the importance of literature, the importance of history, and how these two things link. It is very much important for us to understand that literature and history link, because literature is the shadow of history. And if anyone who is in our audience understands that, that person will not be quibbling about whether it is historians on the scene or it is only literary people on the scene. They are all involved. And so that conversation continues. We often raise important themes in the nation's history, some things that others may not have known. And through our hour, we've been able to kind of broach that conversation. And I hope that throughout the years to come, that link in the history and literature of the country will also continue to thrive.
Thank you. And one more question for any one of you, Prof. or Jackie, is most of the time it's a big challenge to present something like the literary hour to have audience, because people are not so much interested, from my experience, are not so much interested in topics like those. How have you been able to manage to get people to have a core audience? Because right now your number is growing. You see, people are calling me and are commenting on it. What have you done to situate yourself in a place that you can have such a following?
I'll just make a point and then Ms. Haya will take it. I think she has done a whole lot in a kind of bringing in very interesting pieces of literature. She's brought in sources. She's been the go-to for the sources, and she has worked very hard. And actually, every now and then, I am proud to commend her for the pieces that she brings in, especially when we got to the saga of of the selling of presumed selling of some parts of the country,
Okay.
And what is this guy's name? Blyden, Edmund Wilmot Blyden, and his own contributions to Pan Africanism, and even the various aspects of the evolution of Liberia as a nation state. So, short of the long is that the power, the energy that she's demonstrated in terms of bringing materials on the show for planning and then implementation, that's been very, very awesome in the process.
Messiah, if you can add them.
Yeah, I think Dennis, the fact is that, as you know, and also Prof, sometimes I complain, when we don't have a lot of people, I get, of course, we all get tired and underappreciated. But working with Prof has taught me that even if we reach one person, that one person can continue the discussion. So it's every show that we go, we come on, we have tons of work behind it. We've done research, we've checked and double checked sources. So we discussed, sometimes people forget and say that I'm not interviewing Prof enough. They think that it's an interview show, but it's not. I think the chemistry and the rapport between my professor and myself, it is one that is very collegial, and respectful. And I think we play off each other. And I hope that the viewership will grow. But as I say, we are not there for viewers, although that's a bad thing to say, as this is a show about viewers. But it is to teach, and it's also to learn from from the people who are watching. So this interplay that we are on, this dance will continue, and we hope that people will want to listen to us as time goes on.
Thank you so much. And I will come back to you. Stay right there. Let me go to the host of the Hour of Politics. Anthony, politics, right? So some may think you have it easy because it's Hour of Politics and Liberian love politics, but it's a challenge. Tell me about the Hour of Politics and what is it that you hope to achieve with this show?
Thank you, Dennis. I like you emphasize that word politics. Politics in today Liberia. I want to know today's Liberia more. I don't know about yesterday Liberia. I don't know if politics, was the way it is today, especially with the young people. Maybe it was. I don't know. Jackie is here and Prof is here. Maybe they can tell me. It is more like the diet of the Liberian people, and me too just got curious. Why this? Why this? Why this? How can we better this? Since many of us are glued to the politics, how can we talk about it in a way that each side or all the sides will be respected, and also bringing the truth and not exaggerating and bringing in lies, because that is the destructive part. And so the Hour of Politics is, we come on the Hour of Politics after doing sufficient research, asking others who are the actors, getting the facts. And when we don't have all the facts, then we make analysis and made a disclaimer that we don't have all the facts, but looking at what happening, chances are that it may be this way or be that way. So, and we don't also have a side. That is another challenge. Most of the political talkers, if I can pull it that way, they are either supporting this person or supporting that. So when they are live, people from that side come to watch them. But for us at the Hour of Politics today, we are on the government doing analysis. The next day we are on the opposition. So what we usually get is, oh, this guy is opposition. Oh, this guy is government. And we get it all along. So that is the hour of politics, is to talk about our politics in Liberia in a more informed and responsible way, so that even those we're talking about are respected, but at the same time, we are presenting the facts to our people, so that anybody who listening to us or who watches the show will know that this show represent the country Liberia, and that's something that will embarrass myself, my family, the platform that I represent, and the country that I come from. That is how we do it at the hour of politics.
So let's look back at 2021. I know, as you say, it can be challenging, being in the middle. But looking at 2021, what do you see? Where do you think you are now if you look back at the journey? And what do you think were some of your high points and some of the lows?
Well, when I started, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just yelling, and I think I'm still yelling, but I think my yelling has declined a little bit, and I'm bringing much more substance to the discussion. That's a sense of growth that I can say with certainty. And also looking at 2021, there were a lot of topics that were covered. Many were memorable, and maybe they will be because of politics, So I remember a show I did. The topic of the show was Semo Afokekron. And somebody from the executive mansion called and said, "Well, what you say you're doing?" And and I get that all the time. And when the show is biting with the truth, somebody is not happy, and that person will call. And some people who like the show will also call. You're doing very well. Keep on what you're doing. And then the insult also come, especially when the show is against, not necessarily against, but it is something that hammering what is not positive on the other side. So so for example, I did a show, the ANC mantra. ANC have the thing that you can't be doing the same thing over and over. And I found the ANC guilty of doing the same thing over and over. And the ANC people didn't like that. Of late, the Chucky Taylor show, the interview he granted the BBC, we consider it as repugnant. So we talk about it, and that show is being watched by so many Liberians across the globe, and they feel that Chucky actually did not show any sense of respect to the Liberian people, and that he was denied what he actually did. And now the conversation continues.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia Special Edition, Retrospect and Prospect of 2021 and 2022. My guests are all the entire team of Focus on Liberia. This is the first segment. We are here with Mr. Leo Mpulu Johnson. He's the host of the Liberian Dream. Mr. Ansoni Sia, the host of the Hour of Politics. Dr. K. Moses Nawe and Scholar Jackie Sayer, the host and co-host of the Literary Hour. We also have Edward Yuma Amara. He's our West African correspondent here to discuss. So let me go back to you, Leo, to look at 2022. The new year is starting. People are looking at, okay, what does the Liberian Dream have for us? What is it that you are looking at in 2022? And where is this show going? If somebody must take a sneak peek into what 2022 has for us.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Jai. Thank you very much. I think, like I said, 2022, we are going to be looking at some very, very hard recommendations as to how we should be shaping the Liberian society, especially when it comes to younger people. Like I said, I think our generation has been done the greatest deception that anyone could have given to anyone in Liberia. When the war ended, we came back, and the generation before us made us to believe that we can just continue from where things stopped. So when you hear them talking, you hear them talk about normal days or how things used to be great. Oh, you don't know the history of Liberia. Yes, we don't know it, because those of you who claim to know it have tried to make it look like it's a bragging right that only you are supposed to have it in your head. You are not supposed to equitably make it accessible to us. And that's why things like the Literary Hour is a very important piece, being able to dig deeper and unearth some of these things. But especially this year, we're going to be calling for some direct engagement, some direct opportunities for changing the narrative. For example, I've said before, and I'll be pushing really hard this year, that young people should quit their political parties. It's of no use. It's of no value. If anything, it is the foundation of most of the problems in our country. They are all corrupt. None of them have any iota of transparency. They don't, simple things like financial reporting, they cannot do it. Simple things like what are their sources of income, they cannot do it. All of these political parties combine and call our young people militants. And I say to anybody, if all you can do for the young people of Liberia is to call them militants and have them wear military style regalia and incite them to violence in our country, then you are all corrupt. None of you stand a chance. And one of the things I'll also be pushing hard for will be calling to the record those people names who are in our constitution, because I've argued that it's one of the most corrupt document ever made, and it is as corrupt as it is. And you can never get good governance coming out of a corrupt piece of document that have certain people protected as super citizens over the rest of other people and the rest of it. So I think I'll be more direct as we look at 2022 with giving people specific recommendations for actions, especially when it comes to how do we shake up what is currently in place as the status quo that people have made us afraid of for such a long time that there's nothing you can do without it.
And Leo, I've gotten also, there's some, they say your views are very strong. They want to come there and challenge you. So be ready for it as we go into 2022.
Absolutely. And I'm fully aware. And I've said, I don't come here and claim to be the know-it-all. My views are strong because I want to provoke other people who are thinking about these things, because sometimes I may be wrong. I'm not always right. So the reason for my views being strong, I want people to be very clear as to where I stand. And if I have some education to get done, some people can help with it, please come aboard. Or if you're able to convince me to think otherwise, then I'm also open to it. But until then, we've refused to challenge the status quo out of the fear that there is nothing else, and the people who are protecting the status quo are too powerful. So I think it's time we be direct and call it out in a very respectful way, by the way, Mr. Ja, but at the end of the day, in a very clear manner so people can see the differences.
Thank you. Prof, let me come to you. You were doing the literary hour. So it means that you're focused on literature, on education, and things along those lines, history. If you look back at 2020, 2021, and look at those areas in Liberia, where do you think we are? How will you assess the literature, the educational system, and everything that have to do with education and history in Liberia for 2021?
I think one of the things we've done here has been to lay a groundwork of curiosity, a groundwork of the desire to want to know. I won't say that it has swept the country, but I think there is an element of a spirited thinking. And if there isn't anything much that one can begin to talk about, it is that whole idea of the spirited way of thinking, critical thinking. We've been able, I believe, we've been able to let people know that it is not a good thing to kind of accept information without providing certain questions. So the idea that we hear information and we don't take the information lying down is one of those things we've been able to provoke. The other aspect that I think, again, I had said that and I'm repeating it, which is that there has to come a time that we draw a linkage between the media and the schools. Whatever information we are providing here at some point has to be transformed into knowledge that the nation can use. So it is very much important for us to keep in mind that as we work our way into this new year, we should be able to tap into resources wherever they are going to come from. Well, we will see along the way. We've got to tap into resources so that besides the electronic component of what we have today, there's got to be hard textbooks so that the various programs that we have in here will, even in a more summarized form, will be collated. And that collation can be, thank God, we have so many colleges in Liberia now. After a few universities, we have a lot of colleges. And even we have high schools. The question should be, what do we do with the information that we are providing on Focus on Liberia? What are we going to do with it? It's got to come to a point where we have hard copies of these things so that they can fall into so many hands. Young people as well as old people will know about them, and whether they are in their bedrooms and don't have internet or what have you, at least they will have something to always look at and see where we lead from here.
So, Prof, a lot of time when we're doing this show, people say, "Oh, you just sit down in America and do this." Mm-hmm. Do you think you've moved the needle in Liberia when it comes to all the things that you've been saying for the past 1 year?
Well, the thing about it is that I cannot use my own situation as the only situation with respect to whether or not people, because people kind of even through Messenger, through Facebook, and what have you, they do send out a kind of way of commending us for whatever we are doing. I'm sure one or two others who are on the various aspects of these programs can attest to that. But I think we are making a headway. I think we are making a headway. Of course, it's too early to begin to pat ourselves on the back, but I think that we have started a movement. You've started a movement that we are participating in, and I'm sure over time there's got to be some benefit accruing not only to ourselves but also to Liberia and who knows other parts of the continent. So what we are doing in here is not just for us; it's for people out there. That's the beauty of the media. That's the beauty of the media. The media doesn't have one little space. It gets something and throws it out there, and before you know it, so many people are talking about it, and the conversation keeps going and continues to build up and become very strong.
Thank you. So, Ms. Saya, if you were setting your goals for 2022 for the literary hour, what would that be?
I think it would be to continue what we're doing, to try and get the word out to the people in Liberia, because it's very easy here to sign on to Focus on Liberia and listen to the literary hour. You know, it may not be so easy in Liberia, and I think that what we are discussing are things that people should know back home. You know, Dennis, one of the things that people make mistake about is that they equate education with literacy. Education is not synonymous with literacy, right? Literacy is the ability to read and write. That's it. It gives you the skills to acquire an education. So an educated person can be called literate, but not all literate people are educated. And when people say that, people say, "Oh, what do you mean?" You can read and write. That means that you're literate. But we are trying to say, okay, be educated in the things of Liberia, you know. And when it comes to that, you need a holistic environment. So that's what we're trying to give. Because when we were in school, we would read, and when we go home, there were libraries, you know, like what Leo is trying to do. There were people that we could sit with and discuss books. We could argue. That was the making of an educated person. You know, we were literate, but now we were getting an education. So as we start to discuss things on the literary hour, as we start to, you know, to civilly engage each other, I think that our society will not only be a literate one, but an educated one. And I think that's what the literary hour is striving to do. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Let me come to the political guy until I name him the political bulldog. And already comments are coming. Reverend Jeremiah Meringa say, congrats to FOL team, very informative and thought-provoking. But the questions, not everybody agreed. Marina Akwese, Anthony is number one person who incite young people to go to the street and destroy things. So, Mr. C, I understand that the area you are in is a very tough area. People will understand things the way they want to understand things, and sometimes misread what you're doing. So tell me, looking back, I mean, first of all, you agree that this is tough. You are in a very tough area. Muted. Mr. C, you're muted.
Yeah, Dennis, what I said was, I agree. I'm in a tough arena, a tough space. And so it's obvious people will feel the way they feel because they don't lay in my mind. They can only process what I say and interpret it the way they see it. So when they say that, I don't get angry. I don't get angry. I only be angry if they have the same thought process that I have, for which I say the things I say, and then they go on to explain them or interpreting them different way, then I'll be angry because they know where I stand, but they don't know. I continue to remind them that I stand for Liberia. I don't support any political party. I told them that I don't even trust our politicians because I know them very well. I watch their words. I listen to their statement. I follow them. I know what they say today and what they say tomorrow. I know that. But for them who follow these people, who believe in them, they don't care whether they said something yesterday and trying to change their mind today. For example, we have 4 leaders in our country who said we'll feed one candidate. Today it's falling apart. Do you want me to just praise them? I would not. I will hold them accountable. I will tell them you said this and you are not doing it today. And what you are doing it's not right. And I can even call them out to say you are a liar because you say you are going to do this, you're not doing it. And that is my job to do. And people need to understand that.
So Mr. CA, I watch your program. I get calls to, some will call me and say, Anthony is the best. Some will call and say, what are you doing, man? This guy is just brutal when it comes to, how he deal with politicians. So I hear it all. But let me ask you this. Looking at 2021, and we saw all the politics play out throughout the year, from the 3 branches of government to the collective opposition.
Mm-hmm.
What is the level, or if I were to ask you the state of the nation, what would you say?
Well, our politics, I learned this from you and many other people in the academic world, that our politics is completely polarized. That is true. And I'm not sure that will even get better in the next 2 or 3 years. It will remain the same. That is the inconvenient fact or truth, that it will remain the same because the political parties are not teaching their followers, they are not teaching their members what they even stand for. There are people that support politicians and political parties. They don't know their own constitution. I read their constitution. I know what they say in their constitution. These people that are supporting them, Leo is on record for saying, hey, if you are a young man, quit your political party. It's not helping you. It's only putting things in your head that will make you to either say munya munya for somebody or zekwe zekwe for somebody who is not offering for you the best for you to have a better life today. Then I don't know of any political party that will come on this platform and talk about their plans. They don't want to even. Here is on record. What is your financial report, first of all? They don't have financial report. We can't get on their website for them to see their financial report in the first place. So these people, they need to get it right, and it's my job to push them. It's my job to critique them. It's my job to criticize them when necessary. And I do it because when they get it right, Liberia gets it right. And that's the only goal.
Thank you so much. So for 2022, look in your crystal ball. You said nothing is going to change?
Nothing is going to change or will change. There will be more noise. There will be more fighting, more so when we have campaign coming. From the middle part of 2022 to the latter part of 2023, you're going to see the most brutal political fight ever. There are people who believe that this person must be president. The other people say this person must be president. And even when that person don't win, they don't see the other person who is the winner as the winner. They say no to that. So it will be brutal. And my job is to hold them accountable and to tell these supporters the truth. Yeah, the person you're following is not who they actually claim they are. And they don't even offer good for Liberia. And that's the hard part they don't like to hear. And that's my job to tell them.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Focus on Liberia. We are discussing retrospecting 2021 with the FOL team. And if you are joining us, please, we also take donations. So if you like what we are doing and want us to continue to inform you, to bring you the Liberian Dream, the Hour of Politics, the Literary Hour, FOL Marketplace. And we are coming up with new programs as 2022 unfolds. We're going to be having sports program. We're going to be having legal education, know your rights and responsibilities, and all these cost a whole lot. And so if you are here, they are in the scrolling test. You find our WhatsApp, Zelle, Cash App numbers there. Make a generous donation, and you'll be glad you did. This is our way of saying happy new year. We came a long way. We ran a 1 year of successful programming that all of you enjoy, and this is time for us to celebrate. So we'll go around the room again, and so to wish you all a happy new year, and also to look at being part of this focus on Liberia team, what it has done, and what is it that we want you, our viewers, our listeners, our partners, what is it that we want to do as we set our goals for 2022. So again, I will go to Leah, and after this first segment, we're going to have our analysts will come on, the team from the FOL Marketplace, Roundtable Africa, and all of that will come on, and we'll take few calls before. So let's go around the room. We are about to conclude the first segment. I would say, what message do you have for our viewers, our supporters? Or what really does Focus on Liberia mean to you? And what is it that you want to see your show and the network where you want to see in the next 2 to 3 years? This time, let me start with Jackie.
So Dennis, I think, like I said, we want our show to continue. We thank FOL for giving us this platform. We are very happy to be part of the FOL team. You know, on social media, there are so many shows, so many talk shows. But I think that Focus on Liberia, more than most, it is the one that people come to when they want factual information, when they want to hear people who know what they're talking about, and they want to hear news, and they want to know that what they're hearing is based on research, on things that will make them learn and will elevate the discourse. For Anthony, 2022 crystal ball that we're talking about, you know, we always say that, you know, literature teaches you a lot about life. It teaches you a lot about country leadership, and so for me, there's a difference between uh, people who lead and people who rule. And I think as Liberians, we have to start discussing that. Who is a leader and who is a ruler? There's a difference between that. And also, another thing is that Maya Angelou said, if somebody shows you their true self the first time, believe them. You know, our people see politicians jumping from one political party to the other, and they still vote for them because those politicians have no ideology to country. And then you vote for them after they've jumped ship from one political party to the other, and then you say, "Oh, I'm surprised the man is acting this way because he's a senator or a president." But it's like you choosing a tight pair of shoes and then complaining that your feet hurt, you know? So you must ask yourself, what is the moral core? And the person that's having that moral core, what are they doing with it? So literature teaches you a lot, you know? And then one thing that you must keep in mind is what Edwin Barclay said is human greatness. Thou art but dust, and even Caesar died, you know? So people are there, they play their part, and they leave the stage. I would say that for 2022, I will continue as we all on this platform, as we all do. We will uplift Liberia, but we will not shrink in showing the things that we need to build Liberia with, and things that when Liberia is going amiss or Liberians are going amiss. So for 2022, I say that the literary hour will continue. We'll continue to inform, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. And I say that the young people must also know that they also have a place in this discussion besides politics, and that they should help us to uplift the discourse. And I thank you all for giving us this platform. I thank those who listen to us. I thank those who criticize us. I thank those who write us to tell us what they would like to see. And of course, if you would like to come on Focus on Liberia on Literary Hour to discuss your book, we're willing to have you. Focus on Liberia at gmail.com. And please donate so that we can continue the show. Thank you.
Thank you. Prof, you are, University of Liberia, K. Moses Nabe, of course, also a former minister in government. Where you see the country going as we go into 2022?
Yeah, I think calling a spade is very much important, and that is why I kind of liked what Mr. Sie said in terms of seeing a bleak future. Okay. It's not bad to talk about a bleak future, and in that process, I think people need to a kind of straighten up themselves. Liberia is the one country we have. I don't care, if someone left from over there and went somewhere else and got, some citizenship or what have you. Look, if that person ever lived in Liberia, if that person is part of Liberia, that person will have Liberia inside him or her, and therefore, whatever happens, we need to think about that country. And if there are people who aren't behaving well, who want to be like Ms. Saya said, who want to be rulers instead of leaders, then of course they've got to be called to book. You see, now what we've been doing in here, the overall thing with FOL is to a kind of evoke conversation and strengthen it over the years. So it calls for instance, it calls for critical thinking. And if all we get from here is to make sure that people hear things and kind of take an introspective view and work out so many things so that whatever they hear, if that is not true, they can make sure to get people to know what the truth is, then some important service will have been done for the country. And not only for the country, but also for mankind, for humankind. Because when people talk about Liberia, talk about other things, and are able to kind of draw the comparison, draw the analysis, and make sure that the good comes out of whatever conversation we've been having, then that is an important thing to do. So as we work our way gradually into 2022, it's already old, as I will always say, because after you've got the second day, the thing starts running like madness, and if you are not very careful, you might, hit against something and crush. So the best thing we have to keep in mind is that Liberia, as you were asking, where does it go? It will go where, if we are quiet, it will go. It will go where we are quiet, it will go, which is to destruction. And we have to keep talking. People, we say certain things in the history, and people have other things to say. Why did he say that? What have you? The thing about it is, if it is wrong, we talk about it. If it is right, we talk about it. And those things are supposed to keep the country moving forward. We have to be stalwart in whatever we are doing, making sure that we are not doing anything to kind of please ourselves, but eventually to please people in the country, and let us all working hand in hand move the country in a decent path.
Thank you. Few comments here before I bring in Leo. Eugenia said, "Thank for all you do." Sylvester Sanjita, I first met Sylvester in Tuo, across the border in Guinea. Sylvester said, "Leo, we are in this together." River says Pro is asking if the lines are open. River says the lines are open. Please call in. As a Kofa say, Happy New Year to the Focus on Labrador family. Happy New Year in return. Ben Nama say, Happy New Year. Congratulations for what you do. You are appreciated. Best wishes. Peace and blessing. Thank you, Ben. Mommy Esther Tapi Moore say they will come with bags of rice again during elections to give to our people. Margaret Mapu doesn't say, yes, Jackie, I found myself always coming on your shows. And the reason was all you said and more. Factual information, variety of different programs. I have learned a lot about my country. I came to America as a teenager, 17 years old, I believe. Your literary hour is just awesome. I'm trying to get my children who were born here to get on sometimes and learn about my beloved country. We can be any happier. And Abby Tyler say, I can always count on Miss Jackie Sire for these deep proverbs. Elder Joseph Kokro say, thanks. FOL, unlike some shows, say like the one claiming to be most popular, you have successfully managed to be balanced. That's Elder Joseph Kokro, all the way there in Trenton. Tavina Cole say, Happy New Year, FOL. Thanks for all you do. Thank you also, Tavina. So, Leo, let me get your comments here on your last word and the country we're looking at. I know you can be tough. I'm expecting some bombs.
Yeah, in my language, the Pele language, that we say if black the year but no one that guy because he cool talk. What that means is that your color throwing hand, the people can see before they decide to call cool on your farm. So those of us who know cool, and they can assess how well you can throw the color before they gave you that kind of vote of confidence. They say they will call cool to go to your farm. What I'm not saying by that is I think people should just focus on Liberia based on the quality of content that has been produced over the years now. And I'm saying this because there are over 300 people watching tonight. We Liberians, we have this attitude of saying, oh, you are appreciated. We thank you. Everything is great. If 300 people donated $25, that's about $7,500. And let's be practical. None of us watching tonight can say $25 will break our bank accounts. That's our coffee money for 1 month. If we choose to not drink coffee for a month and say, you know what, I find focus on Liberia to be important. I'm making this on my own accord, by the way. Dennis did not ask me to say this, but I like to say this because hundreds of people will come and say, please don't stop. The work you're doing is great. Please continue. And then you will have to shut down because you couldn't raise $3,000 to pay for a very important equipment. And then sometimes the shows will have to be shut off because you needed something so important that you couldn't get. And then people will say you should extend it to Liberia on the radio so our people can hear too. But you can't raise $4,000 to be able to pay the bills of what it would take. So I took this time to really make it intentional. $25. Those of you who can contribute more than $25, please. But let's keep it practical. But let me say why I also say my parable is to address the arrogance of those of us Liberians whom God has blessed to come to the diaspora, who have lived better, benefited from better, enjoying better, and have seen better. Our arrogance is such that we blame the people in Liberia for what is happening. And this is what I've told everybody. You can only do what you know. If God hadn't blessed me to leave from Liberia, we would have been passing around calling ourselves the purple defenders today, calling ourselves defenders of different political parties or in the streets and singing Zogwe Zogwe. Because you only do what you've seen. We have two generations that have seen nothing better than abject poverty. We have two generations that have only known every morning when you wake up, you must fight for the meal you will eat. And whoever can give it to you, you must worship them. Those of us that have come in the diaspora whom God have blessed, we cannot organize a simple community meeting without fighting or insulting each other. So where is the arrogance of us blaming the people in Liberia? We don't have the issue of governance here. We don't have the issue of no jobs here. We all go to work. We all do what we have to do. But we haven't been able to translate any of that into the practicality of what we should demonstrate when we go to Liberia. People coming from Liberia in December, we go to nightclubs, we go to bars, 2, 3 a.m. We will find money for going to nightclubs and hosting big parties. But when we say let's put $10 together to clean our lake community where no public toilet into pay, one small public toilet for the people say the country is too dangerous. It's not safe. But it's safe to go to the nightclub 3 o'clock in the morning. But it's not safe to discuss how we can build a public toilet. Oh, that's the government's responsibility. So the arrogance of the diaspora for me in 2022 is what we must confront. To him or her whom much is given, much is required. To hold people in Liberia accountable, we must demonstrate to them what difference look like. We can go to Liberia, drink our mineral water and throw the bottle in the streets. We can go to Liberia, pee and urinate in the street like everybody is doing. Then we come back to America or Canada or Europe and say the country is dirty and the people in Liberia are not serious. If we think there are better ways of doing politics in Liberia, then let's stop being Unity Party USA, ANC USA, CDC USA. Let's stop being an extension of the corruption. Until we can stop that, we will start to show our children something. So I want to thank you again, remind everybody. So those of us in the diaspora, our culture hand, the way we conduct ourselves, the way we engage or don't engage will be what people will see before they be like, wow, I like what says Jackie does, or what Dennis Jar does, or what Anthony does. I like the way they carry themselves. Maybe there is a better way after all. I don't have to be like this.
Thank you. Mr. CA, I'm coming to you, but let me take our first caller here before I come to you. Caller, your name and where you coming from, and where you calling from?
This is River says, thank you guys. Thank you for what you do. Happy New Year to all of you.
Happy New Year, River says professional.
Yeah. My question, I want to ask the literature professors over there. I was a literature student back in school. I read books like The African Child by Kamara Lai and House Another Blame, Ola Rotimi, and Things for the Patino Achibia. I also did William Shakespeare, Julius Caesar. That was my passion. And a lot of these books I read, they taught moral lessons across, especially the African literature across the continent. They were bestsellers. They were, books that a lot of, educational department in Africa used. As far as Liberia, I know about Waiting Sangawlo and Bati Mo, but a lot of people said they just wrote spider tales that did not really teach any moral lesson. So my question is, how much has our literature, Liberian literature, influenced part of Africa? How much are they so as much as these Nigerian and these other literary arts were so to us that we learned in school? How much were our books so in other parts of the world?
Thank you, Robert says. Thank you.
Okay.
Few more comments, and then I will come to you, Jackie, and then Anthony. Jackie to address River's question, and then Anthony. Tenakuba said, "You are so right, Leo. We who are out there can do something to help our people. We need to be more practical, more action, less talk. In other words, your college throwing hand will attract other people to come help you on your farm." Issa Kofa say, "FOL, I will donate sometimes by the end of the week. Focus on Liberia is the finest network in the diaspora community. I will donate handsomely. Thank you." Dwight Dogaport say, "Happy New Year to FOL. Best wishes. I just donated my little thing. Thank you so much, Dwight." Mr. CA. No, let me go to Jackie to first quickly address River says Pro. Jackie or Prof to address River says Pro's question.
So when we were discussing the phases of Liberian literature, we talked about how the writers in Liberia at the time were very dependent on the government for promotion. So we had books like Baiti Moore, Murder in the Cassava Patch, being widely promoted, whereas books like Mystic Reformation of Gondolia, which is about governance and corruption, that book was shunned by the government. So many of the writers depended on the government for promotion, but we do have books now that are out there that people need to promote. When you're looking at African literature, Liberia is absent. There's nothing about Love in Ebony. There's nothing about Guyana Pao. And Prof and I will always say that Guyana Pao was written in 1892. 1892. That was almost 75 years before Things Fall Apart. And that was written by a man, and that is a feminist novel of women, traditional Liberian women. So now that we may say that at that time it was remiss, they were not promoted, but now they can be promoted. A lot of the things, Dennis, is that when you go to some of the books and you want to find them, they're out of print. Prof and I, we are like looking, begging people for old books because most of these books are out of print. And so we hope that families will give us permission to be able to reprint some of these books. Voices from Leaves Gardens, The Rain at Night, that one is still there. Voices from the Grassroots, things like that. So I would say that the Ministry of Education should incorporate a lot of these books in their curriculum, you know, so that people can know about Liberian literature, and also promote the books yourself. Find them on Amazon and then promote them, because right now we also have a new breed of Liberian writers coming up: Augustine Sharif, Vamba Sharif, Cotto Reeves, you know, a lot of writers, Olu Bestman, you know, and we can, and of course our own Dr. Okay Moses Nangbe is here, who has written prolifically on Liberian literature and Liberian culture. So yes, please promote Liberian art and Liberian literature.
Thank you.
And just one or two comments. Uh, Groups can do a whole lot. Institutional promotion can do a whole lot. I know of what Stella Marie University is doing, especially from the point of view of the John Collins College, which is the college on education. That college has been instrumental in giving a, a lot of local authors an opportunity to do, for instance, a lot of children's literature. And so, especially as soon as the war came to an end, uh, the college I was just talking about was able to put a group of writers together to write value-laden books. And so a lot of those children's readers are on the market. I also think that the Liberia Association of Writers has, in just the past few months, rejuvenated itself, and they've got into making sure that there is a lot of copyright issues that have been a kind of worked on, and therefore there is a kind of spirit out there that hopefully, especially in 2022, will be doing a whole lot in terms of promoting Liberian literature and linking that to the rest of African literature.
Thank you, Prof. Let me go to Asuni for his closing comments. Asuni, as you rightly predicted, we saw the implosion of the CPP. We saw President Weah continue to be President Weah. And you see a bleak picture close on the future of the country, and where you see the hour of politics going to make a dent into what you describe as our.
Yeah, then I know the political culture in Liberia is polarized, but I also believe that it stands the best chance to experience some growth. What I see out of the opportunity we have now, being on social media, these social media platforms that focus on Liberia, how positive we are, even though some are extremely negative, but their energy will run out with that negativity. That's negativity is heavy. Positivity is light. So the possibility to sustain something positive is high compared to something negative. So all these negative energy that we see out there in the political space, with that out, and the positive ones will stay. I mean, I'm saying that to say that in the long run, our politics will mature. I don't see any uh, crisis as we had in the past because of our politics. I don't see that. I mean, I'm just being a little more hopeful here. I don't see that. There will be fight on the politics. There will be insults. I don't want to see that, but unfortunately, we see that now more, and we may see more as well. But in the midst of all this, I just believe that our politics will evolve and get better because of people like Focus on Liberia and many platforms that also wish to do it like us, and even people that follow us and tell other people that hey, it can be done better. So I think that sorry, someone is calling me and distracting me here. So I see the politics getting better, but at the same time, we're going to see politicians running away from certain platforms. They want to go some places where they will be asked softball questions. If they think that that platform, does better research and remind them of something they said in the past, they may stay away from that platform. What I also want to see is I want to see debates. Let the political actors come to debate. Focus on Liberia, by the way, is the only media platform that I know that have been successful in hosting debate, and that is something that our team should be proud of, that we've been very successful at. The other platform, we talk about it, they will never have it because they are so much involved in planning the debate. And maybe they don't have the know-how yet. But I want to see more debates. I hope political actors will come to the debate because the debate provide a platform. If the debaters, exhibit their best attitude, it will inform their supporters like you can disagree with somebody, but at the same time remain civil, in spite of your disagreement. That will get us to that place for us to understand that we can have the disagreement, but we can be respectful and understand that we are fighting for this one country we all love, except that we see different things differently and we have different approaches. That is my hope. But the noise will continue, but in the long run, the noise might transform. And that will be backed by the level of education that we all continue to provide. All right, Leo, I think I will ask you to continue. Dennis might have fallen off very not might. Apparently, technical issue at hand. We see Abby Tyler, who is focused on Liberia Health contributor. Okay, Dennis is here. Let me bring him in. Dennis, what happened to you?
Thank you so much. I want to thank all of you for coming, and we'll now appreciate and take leave of you so that we can get our next group on. Again, thank you so much for what you do for Focus on Liberia. I am fortunate to be part of this and be your lead. And I'm happy. I know you saw my cutlet throwing hands. That's why you joined me. So thank you so much for trusting me to listen to me. Sometimes renting and sometimes even if I'm incoherent. And all of you make me so good when I get out there and people say, "Hey, then it's smart." So I want to thank you so much, Prof, Jackie, Leo, and Suni. Thank you so much. At
Thank
this time,
you.
we're going to be taking our next group.
Thank you
Okay.
very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Everyone.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And so, talking about our next team, I have with me Mr. Before I even introduce them, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to get into part two of retrospect and prospect of 2021-2022. Keep tuned.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Ja.
Thank you so much. Here at Focus on Liberia, we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. What we do is we try to build the biggest network. Some say the CNN or the PBS or the NPR of Liberia. And in so doing, we have people who come, who have their shows. They have something that they want to present. And we say, come and let's join, and use our platform. Let's build this together. There is no need having little radios. You can have one show and have a TV station just for one show. So let's build it together. There are 24 hours in a day. You can take an hour or two. Before we have 7 days, you can have so many people. So we have Focus on Liberia Health contributor, Abby Tyler. She's a family nurse practitioner. Abby has her own blog. She's a blogger. She has her own show that's the Abby Tyler Healthy Living. So at some time, we say Abby comes and present her show right here on Focus on Liberia, apart from being our health contributor. So Abby is also part of this network. And
Closing.
I think it's network.
yeah, I have some network issue here. Abby, do you get me? Please go ahead. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I didn't hear if you were saying anything that you were frozen, so I don't know if
Oh,
you wanted me to say
sorry.
anything.
I will get as soon to assist. As soon as if you're around, please get in backstage and let's do this in case I fall off again. We also have a co-host of FOL Marketplace, Mr. Alexander Coffey, 9 with a 9. He's the managing consultant of Allen Burner International. And so Allen Burner International partner with Focus on Liberia to present FOL Marketplace that is all about business, economic, finance, accounting, everything in between. He is the former director of the FBI of money when it comes to Liberia. Mr. Coffey, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you, Dennis. And I say hello and Happy New Year to all the folks at Focus on Liberia and everybody who follow Focus on Liberia in Liberia, America, and every part of the world.
Thank you so much. Last but definitely not the least is Mr. Jerome Gilman. He's a co-host of On Point. This is the show where two guys, one from the ruling CDC and the other from the Liberty Party, they don't even see eye to eye on any issue. I think the only thing they agree on is Josh Tully live in Canada and Jerome Gilman live in Florida. Besides that, everything they disagree. Is George and Jerome, they make a very good team. And even though they don't agree on anything political, they still work together. Jerome, welcome to Focus on Liberia from the On Point Show.
Thank you very much, Dennis, and Happy New Year to Mr. Coffee and my able sister Tyler. Uh, Nice seeing you. Happy New Year to you all. You guys are highly professional folks. I do watch your shows, and I do enjoy the show. When I come on to be educated, and I love what you do. Continue. Hopefully, 2022 will be even better.
Thank you. I want
Thank
to say
you.
Happy New Year and thank you so much for being part of Focus on Liberia. Let me start with Abby. Abby has a FOL Health contributor and also as a host on your own forum, Abby Tyler Healthy Living. Tell us a little bit about your work as FOL F contributor and also host of Abby Tyler Healthy Living. What is that all about?
Well, my show, my forum, Abby Tyler's Healthy Living, I've been going on now for since 2014. I've been interested in healthcare long before that when I lived in Liberia and saw how things were. And I came of age in America and I wanted to give back to my community without being there because like I tell people, everybody cannot be on a mission field. So I figured after I got my education and everything, I figured I'll open up a forum because I used to be in the political forums before, the different, and you just get lost in all the craziness that was going on there. So I figure I'll have a forum by myself and I can talk directly to the people and I'll be able to reach people all over America, all over where Facebook goes, and I'll be able to educate, give evidence-based information with a holistic emphasis because our communities like some people are really weary of going to the doctors or even talking about healthcare. So if they see somebody like me who can present it to you, from a Western education standpoint, but at the same time, putting a little Liberian flair into it, maybe it'll be more receptive, and also give personal testimonies. They'll be more receptive. So I've been doing that, and then when you came to me, because I know you forever, from United Library Association in Bucks County, by the way, and you said, "Come on and let's collaborate and reach a wider audience." I said, sure. At first, I was kind of hesitant because I said, I don't feel like growing anybody else's network while I'm over here struggling on my own. But I realized in this field and also in the internet field, sometimes you have to be the opening act. You can't always be the main act. So if I'm the opening act and I'm like, riding your coattails for me to get to a point where I need to get to, and at the same time, the most important thing is to be able to reach a wider audience and to help our people, I was more than willing to come on. So and you have been of great help so far. And I really thank you and Anthony behind the scenes. So I'm happy to be here and meet other people, other panelists too.
Thank you so much. Let me go to Mr. Gaiman. Mr. Gaiman, tell me about On Point. First of all, Happy New Year again.
Happy New Year, and thank you for this platform. Well, On Point, let me give you a gist of the history of On Point. A few years ago, I was given an invitation to speak at the Nucleotide Association in the Americas, and I spoke there. And a friend of mine by the name of Edward Doe, may his soul rest in peace, never attended that organization's convention, but he read all about it. And when I got home, he called me. He said, "You were a ambassador, man. What were you doing at the Nucleotide Association convention and this and that?" And we laughed about it and we argued. And several months later, he called me. He said, "You know what?" He said, "You might be the only guy that tolerates me. You and I went for 2 hours and you didn't insult me. You didn't do anything." I said, "Well, you tolerated me too." So that's what conversation is all about. And then a few months later, he called me. He said, "You know what? I have a friend by the name of Dennis Jai. He has a beautiful platform. I think we would be a good partner on this show." Then I said, "Well, what would be the format?" Then he said, "But you know, you and I, we always used to argue on Crossfire when it was on CNN. I like something of that format. We need to go after the issues, do the research. We will be handed the same research, but it's the passion that we will deliver. Because you are talking to the same people, I'm talking to the same people. But how do we present the same fact on different aisles?" And this is how we came about. So the objective was to actually do something that is research-based, that can be fact-checked, but the difference would be that we have a passion. And he knows that I am a pro-CDC, and I would defend CDC to the dead end. He was also a numbers guy who was anti, he was the CPP guy, and he would go at me with passion, and we like that. Unfortunately for us, he got ill and he passed away. And in so doing, we had another gentleman from CPP by the name of George Tully, who is as passionate as I am, a brilliant young man that I like to debate. So this is how we came about. The objective here is to discuss issues that affect Liberia, current event, but have some sense of self-deprecation, have some fun, because Liberia is very tense when it comes to politics. So we discuss these issues, but we also make fun to make it stick. So we are glad that you give us this platform to educate and elevate the conversation.
Thank you so much, and I'm glad to have you. I like the back and forth. That's all scholarship. Mr. Coffee.
Yes, sir. So I'm with Gabriel Carter, and we started with Mr. William King. So on the Focus on Liberia Marketplace, we follow the mantra of Focus on Liberia, inform, educate, and elevate all things Liberia. So on Focus on Liberia Marketplace, we deal with topics in business, economics, and finance. So since we try to elevate all things Liberia, we look at, on the business side, we look at things like doing business in Liberia, how Liberia is attracting investments, and the difficulties or the challenges or the good things about doing business in Liberia, from importing goods to bringing goods, taking goods from the airport or from the free port of Monrovia, things like registering a business, how many days it takes, and all that kind of stuff. We look at all that stuff on our business segment. On our economics and finance segment, we look at monetary policies. We look at fiscal policy. So we look at things like the budget. We look at Liberia's GDP. We look at everything that the central bank is doing to elevate the monetary policy in the country. We look at everything that the Ministry of Finance is doing on the fiscal side of things. So those are the kind of stuff we bring in people, if you may, that have subject matter expertise. And all we want to do is provide a professional and objective viewpoint. It's all not about criticizing the government or beating the government down or beating people down. It's about providing education. All right. So for me, I'm a professional in the area, but I also am a teacher. I taught at the University of Liberia for 12 years, and I'm still involved with even under the Allen Bernard International, who provide a lot of financial training to different institutions. So it's all about educating people and opening a debate and then to provide recommendations. So it is not about criticizing and criticizing. It's about looking at the issue. For example, we talk about the budget, the new budget, the 2022 budget. Why it is true that the increase in the budget is okay, and the fact that we're moving from half year in 1 year and half year in another year, we're moving to a full calendar year, which is a good thing. But at the same time, we felt that the budget was being used as a tool for politics for 2023 election. So we critique the budget, we inform the legislature, we call on the legislature, we look at the Metasti deal, we talk to a lot of the pitfalls in the budget, and we also look at for going forward, we're also looking at how does the government improve the revenue? How does the government decrease or optimize expenditure so the budget can grow? Those are the things we look at, not just criticizing or beating the government down, but providing a professional, objective view how we can move our country forward and how we can help our government.
Thank you. We've been joined by FOL political analyst who's joining us from Philadelphia, Mr. Mohammed Sharif. He's also a proud product of a school behind God's back, all the way in Kilipo, River G County, the Waplo Institute. Mr. Sharif, welcome to Focus on Liberia. We are retrospecting and prospecting 2021-2022.
Happy New Year, Dennis, to you and the panelists now, the panelists before, all of my colleagues on Tough Talking Thursday, all of our listeners, good to be here.
And Mr. Sharif, let me start with you now. You are a political analyst here at Focus on Liberia and also a regular panelist on Tough Talking Thursday. You have had a lot of issues. So in your role as a political analyst, what is it that you do and how has it been on Tough Talking Thursday? What are some of the issues you discussed when you look back at 2021?
Well, first, Dennis, my job is not to serve as a praise singer. That is not my job description. There are those who are paid to sing praises to the political power in Monrovia or any other West African country that we may cover, or any other African country that we may cover. It's not my job. I'm on Tough Talking Thursday for a reason. The name is Tough Talking Thursday. So one of the things that we look at is the performance of the government vis-a-vis the population, those expectations for which the government came into office, whether it was, we discussed last week the judicial system. A while ago, we discussed and analyzed ritualistic killings. We've talked extensively about the division within the different political parties, looking at the collective opposition. We've talked about the CDC coalition, which is a ruling coalition, a lot. We've talked about different things. So my job is to look at expectation versus performance. So in a lot of areas, I have found that the government is found wanting. And so it's not my job to not talk about those things. Conveniently, however, I find people on the other side who are living in the United States of America. And yet their expectation, they're shortchanging the Liberian people. Their expectation is not the same as my expectation. My expectation is congruent with doing the people what is good for the people.
I'm talking about good roads, good safe drinking water, hospitals and clinics, different things that will develop the Liberian society. So when those are not happening, my job is to critique in a positive way government performance. However, if the government performs well, based on the matrices set out there that they set out for themselves, then of course I come out to say the government has done this. What is the opposition going to do? What is the public society going to do to support the government in this effort? So we look at a broad range of issues that that we hold the government to that we hold the government to account for. So those are the things, some of the things that we do, Dennis.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, this is part two of Retrospect and Prospect of 2021 2022. This is an all focus on liberal theme show. We are looking back at 2021 with the various shows that we put out here at Focus on Liberia and looking into 2022 and see what 2022 has for us. Let me go to Abby. Abby, on your forum, Abby Tyler's Healthy Living, tell me and our viewers here, what is it that you are trying to accomplish with this show, and where are you so far? I mean, you've done it on your own in your own forum. You also did some here at a Focus on Liberia. You sometimes go on other shows talking about this same topic: health, healthy living. What is it that you're trying to accomplish, and where are you in that journey?
Like I said, I've been doing this since 2014 now. I've come a long way. I still have a long way to go. My aim is to make sure that healthcare, and it's not, I know it's the scary thing to talk about when people talk about diseases, but it's like healthcare is prevention, and screening, because I'm a primary care provider. So basically what I do, my major thing is prevention and screening, and then treating diseases, and then also learning and also referring people to different specialists. So I want Liberian people to have that when you think about their daily life, should be part of their daily lives. You think about, okay, I'm going to go somewhere, I'm going to go to this party. The first thing I'm going to eat at this party is, I'm going to eat salad first, I'm going to eat vegetables first, and I go for the main course. And so far I've been doing that, and I've seen some changes when I go to different functions. I've been to places before where I remember my friend told me the first time he saw me, he's like, I already ate my salad at home. So I was like, I said, okay, and then somebody else that saw me, they're like, oh, okay, she's coming to the table. Hurry up, move this stuff out of the way, move this stuff out of the way. So, and it's not so much that I want to get scare people, but I'm happy about that, because I'm making people like they're recognizing that healthcare is all part of everything they do. It's an everyday thing. It's not a scary thing, but to make them aware that yes, I have to be careful for my healthcare. I have to go to my doctors to make sure every year to get my physical. I talk about getting your annual blood work. We talk about diabetes. We talk about breast cancer and all these other diseases before. A lot of people used to say, oh no, this is just white people disease, or this doesn't happen to Liberian people, and this and that. And most of those things happen to us back home. It's just that we didn't have the facilities there to get diagnosed. And even if you want to get diagnosed, you kept it to yourself because there wasn't there to treat people. And at the same time, it was kind of a shame to admit that you had some kind of disease, and it was always like witchcraft or God's will or something. So I need to teach that, to get away from that. And then at the same time, when I used to talk in the political forum, so it's mainly about the structural part of healthcare back home, because I remember my cousin, which really spurred me to really get into the online part. About maybe 10 years ago, she was a nurse over there too, and she went for surgery, and she was found in the bathroom, like, dead on the floor. Sorry, so rest in peace. And I said, well, didn't they have a call bell to ring to call the nurse or call the nurse assistant? And they're like, call bell? What are you talking about? There's no call bell there. I said, you don't have a call bell in the hospital? And to my thing, that's something so minor, but that is like a major thing in America. Every time we document, when I worked as a nurse, and anybody else who work in the hospital field, I mean, a nursing home, you have to have call bell, because how are you going to be able to reach the nurse? And every time you document, you say, when they say, was the call bell? Was the call bell in reach? You have to document the call bell was in reach. So something as simple like that may have been able to save her life. I'm not saying that I don't know what else went on, but something that major, but you can see it's minor, but somebody is very major that could be able to save her life. That's when I started talking about the structural part of healthcare and talking about, advocating for more doctors, for more nurses, for more PAs, NPs, and more clinics, because the healthcare facility, and most time people come at me and like, oh no, you think you this, you didn't. But then nobody can come back and dispute everything I'm saying, because I have people over there, I have family members over there, I have friends over there who can tell me this is what's there, this is what's not there. So I don't necessarily have to be there. So when I advocate for healthcare and the structural part of healthcare in Liberia, I'm not doing it because I want to be a loudmouth on Facebook. How can I call myself a Liberian person who came from there, came from a very poor background, came here, got the opportunity to be educated and not be able to give back? So by being online, I can reach, more than 1,000 people in one show that I can do if I was over there. So that's my point. That's the reason why I do it. And I've done a lot, like I said, but I'm far away from where I need to be. And plus, healthcare is never ending. So I'm never going to need to wear like, okay, I'm fine, I'm good, I can put it away. No, that's ongoing continuity forever.
So how does it feel being looked at as the food police when you are coming, people are running? And also, if you look back at 2021, what were some of your memorable shows that you thought really, even if nobody was watching, you felt that you had some impact?
I would say I want to feel good when people say food police. I tell people, it's like, no, I'm not food police. I'm just keeping an eye. Like I tell people, when you eat your fufu and soup with all the trappings and everything in there, don't turn around and go eat a whole bowl of rice with all the trappings, because that's just heavy carbohydrates and heavy this. So breast cancer is one of the things that I was proud of, because I talk about it every year, and diabetes, and especially the couple of times I was on for COVID. Proud of that. And just being able to go on other different shows where I was contributors on different shows, another network, and to be able to put myself out there and give of what I can, because like I tell people, the service I provide, and even most of the people in here who are professionals in their own field, the services that we provide, that's consultancy. So if we were consulting to different agencies, I'm sure they do as well. What I do specifically, I could make a whole lot more money for just giving the information that I know is free. People can say, well, I can just go on Google and do this. Like, no, you can't just go on Google. Yes, we want you to be educated about the basics part of your healthcare, but even Google will tell you, every website will tell you, check with your provider first, because we are trained in that area and we see things differently. We can individualize your care to what it is that's going on with you, as opposed to just going to Google and thinking, oh, this is it. And when people come to us, we'll be like, no. Oh, my friend was taking this medicine. Why can't you give it to me? Does your friend have kidney disease? Does your friend have this? Does your friend have that? So there's so many different things that we're trained to do that Google can just tell you that. So in a way that I'm able to do that and give of myself freely, I'm happy with that. I would love to have more people watching and all, but eventually that will happen. But yes, it's pretty much
Thank you. Mr. Gaiman, you 2021, you went back and forth at arguing with our colleague, the late Edward Doe. And by the way, his you can talk more about that. His burial is coming up. Our hearts go out to the family. Or with Judge Canon Tule. And you style yourself as the unabashed and unapologetic sedition. Looking back at 2021, what do you think the CDC government, the government of Liberia, did so well? And what do you think that they didn't do so well, but you just have to argue because you are sedition?
Well, thank you. This is one of the platforms at this moment where we have to be objective, because we are not arguing, we are giving facts. One of the things that I'm proudest of the CDC government is I was in Liberia. I came back in May, and I go home sometime twice a year. And when I was there in 2005, 2004, with Jack Klein and the UN, and when I saw 15,000 gun-toting UN soldiers surrounding our nation every step you made, and when Ellen Johnson Sirleaf left and President Weah came in 2018 with no help from the international community, for us to keep the peace in Liberia, the protests, the freedom of speech, the freedom of everything that is going on, no political prisoners, for us to keep our peace, it is something that I'm proud of for this government And actually, the Liberian people themselves, because the government can say whatever they want to say, the people also needed the peace. So they work with this government, and we have kept the peace. You can go to Liberia and go everywhere, and you will find out that it is just like any other country. If you live in the metropolitan areas, like we live if you're in Miami where we are, they tell you be careful of crime opportunity. If you left your pocketbook in the car, people are going to break into your car. If you're walking around with expensive cell phone, and most likely somebody may take it. Those are things that come with metropolitan areas. But when it comes to national security, I say the president and this administration did an exceptional job keeping the country safe from 2018 to where we are at this point. Challenges, yes. When you go and you look at the economic situation of the country, the economy is not where it's supposed to be. And I cut them a slack because when I left from here, when I went to Liberia, when I was leaving, gas was at $2.30, $2.20 when I left. When I came back, gas was almost $4 in Miami. So when I go to the local supermarket and the commodity prices have gone through the roof. In fact, the New York Times did an article that the index in this country went up 38%. That is, and it has not gone down. So for a country that is not producing anything, that is a dependent nation, that also transfer over to us. So would I like to see the economy improve to the local people? Yes, that is a challenge. And I also want to thank all of my partners here because we all are injecting a lot of money into the economy by the remittances. We need to continue that.
Mr. Gilman, you said challenges, right?
Yes.
How about failures?
Oh, well, I would like to measure because when the government came into power, they came with a 6-year mandate. So I would like to withhold my grading until the end of that 6 years, and I will tell whether they have failed or they have passed. But from what I saw, when I was looking at the road connectivity, when I went to Bassa and I went to Yekepa and I went to Saclay, and I'm looking at the Riverfield Highway, and I'm looking at some of these major highways. And I have a friend here when I was president of the chamber that was telling me that a mile, no matter where in the world you go, to build a mile of road is like $1.2, $1.3 million a mile. To see all the major highways being constructed, it takes a lot of money that we don't have. So I would say I give them kudos for that because when folks talk about, most of the folks, when I talk to, they say agriculture is our way out. Agriculture is our way out. And the funding for agriculture, when they look at the budget line item, it is small. And I understand that. But what you are not looking at is no matter how big is your line item in agriculture, if you do not have the road network, it means very little to anybody. So I support the road network being built. When the road network is built, if you look at 1956, 1957 in this country, the Dwight Eisenhower, when he introduced the interstate highway, the United States was isolated. And he told them that this particular highway is going to catapult the United States into the #1 world economic power, and it did. And I want to believe so, that if we continue to build the road network, agriculture is just a matter of time before it booms.
Thank you. Just for 30 seconds here, Anthony Gay is saying the PAPD was to create 1 million jobs for the Liberian people. Where are we on this job creation by the CDC-led government, Mr. Gilman?
Well, and that's a good question. And I think my brother Coffee here, who is into the numbers, he might be more of a statistician than I am. The way we measure job in Liberia, it is totally different. And I'm a sociologist by training, so I'm not that. When we were looking at I think when Ellen Johnson Sirleaf at the end of her term came out and said that the unemployment rate in Liberia was 1.2%. Everybody laughed. How do you come up with that? And it's the same metrics that I'm hearing the President We Are people are saying. that job is now around 2-3% because they are now numerating market with me and informal and all of that. So we do not have the formal calculation of what job creation. Anybody can tell you, well, in Nima County, we got 500,000 women selling beta ball and cover. So those are jobs. We don't. Anybody will be honest with you. We do not have the metrics. So anybody can quote any number. So I don't think that we have that number. But I'll wait for 2023, 2024 to actually grade that.
What about
Thank you. And I hope I don't know what they were looking at. Whether they were looking at the beta ball seller at the Ganta market to say they were going to create 1 million. But let's leave it as that. Let me go to Mr. Sharif to you are a political analyst. That's what you do here. In 2 minutes, give me your analysis.
Dennis, Mr. Gaiman mentioned my name.
Yeah, I will come to you.
I didn't pick on you. I'm sorry.
I just want to piggyback on the question and I beg you to do this, even though I'm not a host. But
1 minute. Go ahead.
When Gaiman says that, when you ask him the question about failures, he said his answer was that he's unable to measure failures until at the end of the year. But at the same token, he's measuring successes or quote unquote successes. My embarrassment is, how are you able to measure successes or so-called successes, but you're not able to measure failures until the end? So then just wait for the end for you to measure everything now.
Well, in the political sociology, we are talking about things that we can see and we can touch and we can do now. When we talk about the security, you cannot argue with me. Nobody can deny that we have had peace since the absence of the UN troops. That is undeniable. Everybody knows that. So we can measure that at this point.
Thank you. You are saying you can feel and touch success, but you cannot see and touch failure. That's understandable.
What about healthcare?
Let me go to Mr. I will get the same talking points. So let me go to Mr. Sharif. Mr. Sharif, what's your analysis of the political system as a political analyst of Liberia for 2021? 2 minutes, sir.
So when you mention the political system, what exactly are you?
I'm looking at the political landscape. When we talk about the actors, the players in the Liberian politics, how do you see it?
I mean, as we have said all along in 2021, one of the things that we discussed and picked out right away is that the CPP was going to collapse. We talked about that. Anthony extensively talked about that on his show. We reiterated or talked about that also on Tough Talking Thursday. I mean, it doesn't take rocket scientists to have understood that, and that is unraveling now, and probably not able to be put back together. We all knew that all along. It is unfortunate that the Liberian people are left holding the bag because it is them that's going to suffer from bad administration. One of the things that I have always talked about is the rule of law and the administration of justice. It's lacking. Our last show, which I thought was really important, talk about Liberia criminal justice system or Liberia justice system. Dennis, what is going on now that should be of concern to us is that the TRC report, correct me if I'm wrong, and anyone on this panel can, is not accessible at this time. Those video testimonies and stuff like that cannot be accessed at this time. That report and the video testimony, all of these testimonies need to be accessible to scholars and students and whoever else want to do this kind of research or whoever else want to look at this. This is the history of the country, and I'm interested in this. It has to be accessible. So if justice, which I mentioned on the last show, is a fulcrum on which the stability of the nation rests, the foundation of the nation rests, something like that. You cannot have the TRC go to work for 3 or 4 or 5 years, and now the product of their work is just going to go away just like that. I mean, and I know that, you know, some would say it's far-fetched, but what has been done now to preserve that report? I don't see the government of the CDC, the government of Mr. Ware doing that. When it comes to the overall performance of the government itself, you know, the opposition is, for me, they're not performing the standards. The government is not performing the standards. There's poverty all over the place. We know that. We know that we talk about ritualistic killing. That has never been addressed. This is an issue of security. We have a security expert on this show that have talked about that, but in a way that has not pointed. Well, he has. I mean, he has pointed fault on, you know, he has faulted the government for not ensuring security. And I'm faulting the government for not ensuring security. For too long, we've talked about ritualistic killing. These things are not being addressed. Poverty is something that the government, you know, pro-poor, we hear about pro-poor. It has not been addressed. You look at education, what is going on in the interior and other places is unacceptable. So the road network, so you can look at everything, and this has not been negative. And I heard someone said, you know, hey, but what are you guys sitting here in America going to do? You know what? Some of us have done a lot for the country. We have done, Dennis, I have done a lot as an individual for Liberia. Since I know myself, I have been an agent of change. As a young high school student, I talked about the auditorium under my leadership that we built. Dennis, when we were in Guinea as refugees, you were there. You were the leaders. You were one of the leaders of the the UNESCO club, Dennis. I was one of the leaders of the Liberian Student Association that led to the creation. We fought, we advocated, and we worked towards the creation of the Liberian refugee school system. And I taught after-school classes to students, some of whom are very accomplished people today in Liberia. So we have done a lot. And even here, I still continue to do what I have to do for Liberia. So I know one of the things that they're going to be asking is, you sit here and criticize, what have you done? Well, some of us have already done a lot. The government needs to do its part. So guys that have tens of millions of dollars, if they cannot prioritize the development of the Liberian nation state, that is concerning and that is unacceptable. The government, the bureaucracy is bloated. There's a lot of resources, cash being expended on salaries and just the upkeep of these individuals. It's unacceptable what's going on. So that's my take in 2021. And in 2022, I don't see any difference. I hope that there will be some changes, but I don't see how there can be any change if 2021 is my look back. If I have to look back on 2021, I don't see any hope in 2022.
Thank you. Mr. Coffee, your assessment of the economy of the country, 2021, what did the government do well? What did the government didn't do right? I know that could take days, but if you can summarize in 3 minutes.
Yes, then it's a full day show. That the question you asked me is very little, but I will try my best to summarize it or paraphrase it, just to talk about the different topics. So the economy, as it looks like, we on the focus on Liberian marketplace, we talk about say monetary policy. So generally, those discussions during our different segments of the show throughout the year. So we look at the government. What did the government do very well? We look at what the government did not do so very well, and what the government failed to do at all, and what we thought that the government could do in 2022 so that it continues to improve the situation. So, for example, we use the Millennium Challenge Corporation scorecard as a guide, and we use other things as a guide. So in that light, for example, come the next Millennium Challenge scorecard, what the government can put in place to pass and move forward. While it is true that we know that some of the data that were used were 2019 and 2020 data, but going forward, once the 2021 data is picked up, and if the government continues to improve in 2022, we believe that that Liberia could pass because there are some bright areas. So some of the areas we look at on the monetary policy, we consider the government's commitment to sound monetary policy. So that means we look at what's government's drive to reduce inflation. Technically, 15% is the passing mark for the MCC. And the government, I mean, Liberia was getting around 17%. So the Liberia is not far away. It's just 2 percentage points away, coming down, so that the government can pass that inflation guideline. We also look at the government's drive to reduce the exchange rate. We understand that, yes, for some time now, the exchange rate has been down and has been kept steady. But again, we also consider that the way the government was calculating the inflation numbers and the exchange rate numbers, which was skewed more towards the Liberian government, towards the Liberian dollars, the government needed to have a different, so that the calculation of these things could be based on world standard, not skewing towards what we want. We also thought that some of the things that were going into the exchange rate situation, some of them did not look too fair. So we thought that some changes needed to be done. Like, one of the biggies we look at is there seems to be a disconnect between inflation, exchange rate, and prices of goods on the market, because we know that in economics, or in the free market economy for that matter, when inflation is going up or prices are going up, inflation is going up. So they all move parallel. But in Liberia, it seems to be the other way around. Exchange rate is stable, is down. Inflation is going down, but prices are going up. We do understand that in the world as a whole, because of supply chain and all that stuff, even in America that we live, prices are going up, so is inflation. That is a normal thing. Prices are going up. Few prices are going up. You go in the grocery shop again and say, prices are going up. But in Liberia, prices are going up, but inflation is going down. In America, inflation is going up. Okay, so President Biden is beating and beating and beating for those things. So if we beat on our president, we got the right to beat on our president when these things, But in Liberia, it seems to be opposite. Yeah. Prices going up, but inflation coming down, and exchange rate is stable.
Is the government doing anything? Has the government done anything well to jolt the economy?
Well, the government is making some efforts. There have been some changes in the central bank, the law, and also that would speak to the independence of the central bank to do its work, because initially, from the last few years, when this government came into power, the central bank was not given a chance to do its work, to do some of the things it was doing. It was being trampled upon by other people in the government. So, but now we can see that the central bank is given a chance to do its work through, especially the revision that went on in the act. But one of the problems that we have in Liberia is we are good at making these laws, but putting them in practice sometimes is for me to choose the right word according to the handbook of Mr. Gaiman here, challenges. So there are challenges for us to make sure that these were. I don't want to use the word failures before Mr. Gaiman Brightman here. So I will follow his pen. I will say challenges. So there's serious challenges in making sure that the law work. Also, the central bank also tried to put some things in place in terms of the receipt of this new money, even though there was a lot of recommendation as to the internal control mechanism, bringing back confidence in the banking system and all that, putting in more regulation as to the control of money, bringing in the reserve ratio and things like that, which they try to do so that it can guide this new money, because you have money that is in the hands of the people because they don't want to go to the bank because they lack the confidence, because when they go to the bank, they will not get their money. So they prefer to keep their money at home. Now, when you bring another set of money, you put that money on top of that money, the same vicious cycle starts. So we've seen that the central bank has made some strides to make sure that the confidence reduced through the T-bills and others, the introduction, which has been something that has been used over and over the years. So yes, they have made some improvement in those directions. But from the initial stages, there have been a lot of instead of saying failures, again, I will use challenges. Okay. On the fiscal side,
let me come back to you because time is fast spent here, and we'll go to what we see in 2022. Let me go to Abby here now. Abby, on the healthcare side, both for your show and for healthcare in Liberia, you follow these things when it comes to healthcare. What do you see? What will be your forecast for 2022? Do you see improvement? Do you see things staying the same, backward, forward?
As far as the healthcare structure in Liberia?
Yeah, the healthcare system as a whole.
Well, according to Mr. Gaiman, everything is just hunky dory. So, I mean, I don't seriously. And we're calling it challenges, not failures. Wow, nice scripting. Sorry. Anyways, I'm following through and I'm trying to educate myself on the specifics of Liberian healthcare and structuring and how they go about their job responsibilities over there, because my training is mostly over here. So I'm trying to learn more about it, so eventually I can get involved in conversations that is relating directly to it. Maybe someday I might go back there and see it for myself. But I do contribute to different organizations that go back home and do charity work there. So but I want to learn more about it, and I'm really concerned about, because when this present government, President Weah, when he was getting there and they asked him about how he was going to improve the healthcare sector, I still remember that interview. He just mentioned the fact that he's been donating things to different health facilities, and he's going to continue donating the health facilities. That's not a strategy. So in order for Liberian people to have access to better healthcare for basic care and everything, I will still try to advocate for little clinics around the country, and then major hospitals, at least covering 3 different counties. So people, and then also the emergency healthcare response to, you can have the best hospital, but if you're all the way in another town and you have a heart attack there and you need to get to the hospital within minutes, and also you have trained paramedics to start you on drips and everything while you're still in the ambulance, and you don't have that, by the time you get to the hospital, it's going to be too late. So I'm still going to be advocating for that, and I would love to be able to collaborate with people who are there, somebody who's in authority, to be able to learn more about it and how I can give my expertise. But also going back to what you said, piggybacking on some of my proudest moments, I think what we did too, also when you come to the doctors, what to expect. We went over that, all the different things. So people are really concerned when they come to the doctors too, and then they come and sitting there when I'm asking them questions, and I ask the questions the way I ask the questions. You're sitting there, you're already nervous, you have so many things on your mind, and you don't know how to answer the questions the right way for the doctors to come up with the right diagnosis. And so I also taught people how the kind of questions we're going to be asking. So that was one of my proudest moments to be able to at least give my expertise directly in that area. So looking forward to 2022. A main thing would be learning more about specifics of your healthcare system, and then be able to engage more in conversations relating to that.
Quickly, for 1 minute, where do you hope to take Abby Tyler's Healthy Living, your show, for 2022?
Well, my goal is, it's like always good to think big because I put on my forum, I was watching, I usually watch my stuff on the big screen when I'm done. And my son said, "Oh, mommy, you look like you're on CNN." So I'm like, oh, I say, from your word, from your mouth to God's ears. So hopefully someday I may become somebody big on there, like Sanjay Gupta and the rest of them. Or I may be just the biggest person in Liberian, Facebook forum or wherever it is I'm going to end up being. I just want to be the best I can be when I get there. So I'm striving hard to hone in on my craft and get to know other people and collaborate with other people to get there too. Because bottom line is to get healthcare information out to everybody as much as possible.
Thank you. Mr. Sherry, where is our country going for 2022? What do you see?
Yeah, just before I touch on the country, Dennis, you've done a great job of just assembling a vast array of talents around this show, around this platform, and I really do mean that. And you've always been an agent of change. I knew you with Club UNESCO and with the refugee school system, and you were one of the best, if not the best, math teacher. That the kids would talk about all the time, and this is the same Dennis job. So I'm really not surprised. And we know there were some other people that we're not going to talk about, right? So it's not right now. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But this is what's going to be needed for a better Liberia. Individual people who can, create and who are innovative, right? So what you've done with this platform is very exceptional. And my hope one day, Dennis, is that we will have a leadership, we will have a government that can appreciate all of this and say, hey, we're going to help your platform. This is what we want to see you do. Or they could say, look, we're giving you, we have so and so thing going on. We need you to promote this, right? We have some contract over here. Whatever they can do to promote this. You don't see that. And I don't think it's going to happen in this age under this administration. I don't think so. But my hope is that someday in the future, such a thing will happen. And then where I see Liberia going, I am very concerned of the arrogance of leadership, the lack of urgency and that I see in the administration. How many times we've talked about you can touch any topic. I have always said that if you roll out the problems of Liberia, you can roll it, right? It's a rollout and you're rolling that tape. You can roll it from Monrovia to Calipo and it will never end. So take any particular issue, it never ends. So what is the time? What time is there now for the government to act? I listened to Abby talking about healthcare, right? She talked about, community clinics in, like small towns and villages. And then you have big hospitals that will take care of, that will kind of have a regional outlook. But to even do that, Dennis, you need a road network. If people can get from Siboken to Calipo to, to the hospital, to the nearby clinic, it's really, really hard. You have right now, and it still is, from the time I was in elementary school, there were kids who used to walk in the creek. Like, they would walk through, they'll take off their uniform and walk through to come to school in our town. And today it's still the same. So who has the vision to change that? So I'm looking for a Liberia. I'm looking for a leadership that will change all of that. But it's a bleak picture for me, and I'm sorry to disappoint people out there. And I'm not being negative here. That's the reality. It's really a bleak picture for me, Dennis.
Thank you. I will go to Mr. Gilman to let him know what we see. But let's take a few comments here. Morphophilia has challenges in Liberia. Tell us the leader Liberia has. Dave Jassy, Mr. Sherry is very strong tonight. I love his patriotism. Muzu Wanglo Stewart, just my opinion, probably get people from Liberia to serve as counterparts on the panel to discuss various topics for the purpose of obtaining first-hand information. Mayfield Deco, why it is true that Liberians in and out are wishing for the best for Mama Liberia comes 2022, but I don't think the current leadership has what it takes to do so, to do things differently in 2022. I wish they could. Jefferson said, Mr. Gilman, peace is not just the absence of war. Okay. Seattle is asking why create a goal without creating means of measurement, talking about the 1 million job. Well, let me go to you, Mr. Gilman. 2022, where you see the country going under the current government?
Oh, obviously, I'm an optimist, and if you have not visited Liberia in the last 6 months, or you have not visited Liberia in the past year, you may be off a little bit, because I just came back in May. I went to the hospital that was dedicated in Riverside. I went to the one that was dedicated in Bomi. I went to the groundbreaking of the $30 million hospital that is being built in Bapolu. I also went to the new government hospital, the referral hospital in Buchanan that is about to be built. I also saw the 25 doctors that were sent abroad for specialization. I also visited the JFK hospital. For the first time that I saw a dialysis unit, a huge unit dialysis. This is, my sister talked about diabetes. One of the things that people are dying from, that unless you have money to leave the country, was when your kidneys have shut down, you need dialysis, and Liberia never had that. We have that now. We also have, as she talked about, medication in Liberia, or top-notch hospitals in Liberia. When I was in Liberia, my brother was suffering from prostate cancer, and I called a friend of mine that works at the Mount Sinai in New York. And little did I know that Mount Sinai had a practice in Liberia at the JFK. And we went behind the JFK, they had a private clinic there. But the difference was that it cost so much money. My brother, every time I took him over there, it cost me $602 US dollars. And he had the best care, including chemo, and he's now well. That is not affordable to the regular folks. So yes, we do have a ways to go, but building all these hospitals and sending practitioners abroad to specialize, I think in the next 10 years, not just this administration, but I see that this country is beginning to plant seeds that will sprout. It may not happen in the first 2-3 years. Doctors that are going to become specialists, it takes years. And when those 25 doctors come back, we're going to have specialists in the country for the first time that will be affordable to the folks, because these people are now being government trained. So where do I see Liberia in the next year? I see a lot of development. I'm also hopeful to see the amount of young women going into politics. Women into politics. It is encouraging to see women taking the mantle, taking the leadership. One of the things that I hope that we all can rally around is that most of the salaries that you see in Liberia in the house, upper house, lower house, these are codified. These people wrote them into law. If we could all call our congressmen and harass them to repeal some of these laws, that our congressmen in Liberia should not be the highest paid congressmen in the world, making more money than our own congressmen in the United States. But these are things that are written into law, and we have to collectively fight. Whether you're in the opposition or you are a member of the CDC, we have to fight to repeal these laws. These people are making too much money for what they deliver to our folks.
Yeah. Quickly, for 1 minute, Mr. Gilman, I know the president of Liberia ended the year very strong. We saw him with his new toy, that tricycle. He released 2 songs, including the one he sang to his son, Sekou Kalasko Demaro. And the Happy New Year song, and we saw the lighting of the Christmas tree at the grounds of the executive mansion is about to, according to what I heard, to move in very soon, and the children Christmas play. What
Can I
kind of
just ask you,
president?
give me one question though?
What president do you see going into 20? Go ahead, Abby. You say you want to ask Mr. Given one question.
You said, yeah, you talk about the dialysis. So Liberia has I know about the dialysis unit. So Liberia has approximately 4 million people. I'm assuming, maybe 500 of them have kidney disease, end-stage kidney disease. You have one dialysis unit for the whole country?
Well, it's a start.
All right.
We have one. We never had it. We have it. It's a start. I saw 15 machines in there. So we'll be doing 15. They will be serving 15 candidates at a time. It's a start, and from there they can go to the other referral hospital.
And when you do get the chance, can you ask people over there to take pictures of, or go live at the other hospitals? Because when people say you have hospitals and all that, you're talking about the quality of the hospital. Yeah. I would love to see. I'm not saying you should be, Mount Sinai or Johns Hopkins. I would just love to see all the different, because I've seen the videos and other things. So I'd love you to do it from your point of view so I can compare.
Absolutely. When you go to my hospital in Buchanan, the Buchanan, the Basel, the hospital, it is terrible. When you go in there, I took a nurse from the University of Florida that went into the delivery section, and she took picture and did a presentation here, and it's appalling. I mean, everything is rusted to the point where this lady is saying this is a death trap. So for the president to have gone and say we need to demolish this hospital and build a new one, I think it was timely.
Thank you. Let me go to Mr. Coffee. Mr. Coffee, the government predicted under Mr. Tue predicted a 3% increase in GDP growth. We also saw a budget that went up to, I think it's 8 million and change. Are these good signs for the country? Where you see our economy in 2022?
Well, that's a great question, and these are things that we've been talking around. Yes, there could be signs of improvement, right? But sometimes the numbers that are given by IMF and these institutions, sometimes they are fed on the numbers that are provided by the country in terms of the way we want to, deliver the numbers and the way we want.
Are you saying those numbers are cooked up by the government?
Well, what I said was that the numbers are taken from the country, all right? Okay. So the numbers that we're giving, for example, we talk about how the exchange rate is being computed. So when the inflation numbers have been computed, right, there is a debate around the wrongness or the rightness of the way the inflation numbers are being computed. So those numbers, why there's a debate on whether it's right or wrong, is fed into the numbers that go into the IMF data and things like that. But yes, I would say that there are signs for improvement. Okay, for example, you mentioned the budget. So if you want to compare with other countries, say Rwanda or Sierra Leone. So Rwanda in this case, because we have the same history with Rwanda in terms of war, the same times Rwanda fought the genocide. But you look at Rwanda today, their budget is way up in the billions. So one of the things that we want to do as a country is to move our budget upwards. So it's a great achievement, two achievement on the budget side, that the government is now making strive to improve the budget. So now we've gone to a $785 million, of course $786 million after the legislature look at it, budget, which is not far from $1 billion. The government has also moved the budget year to a calendar year, which is a good thing. But the problem there, and that's why the 2022 budget is still a debate, is when you make the improvement in the budget or the increase in the budget, that increase should filter into things that will benefit the country. But if you filter that thing into things that benefit the executive and the legislature, especially you're using the budget as a tool for election come 2023, then it's a problem. Mr. Gamer talked about healthcare. I am broken right now. He talked about leaving the country May, and he talked about if you haven't been to Liberia 6 months now, blah blah blah. But from May to January is more than 6 months, so Mr. Gamer is out of touch. I have two nephews who died. I'm burying two nephews. I buried one last weekend. I'm burying one. So I'm broken. But the fact that due to simple things that could be taken care of by our healthcare, but you drive the guy to a hospital, no pay. You drive into this other hospital, no pay. You drive into the place, he's stuck in traffic because officials are moving in the third lane. So everybody else, the pen people are following him, so they can't go forward to get to the next hospital, and the person died. Two nephews of mine have died. So when you try to praise the healthcare and give all this hospital being built here, that hospital is being built here, is the hospital functional to save people's life? You have talked about dialysis medicine here. You talk about this. People are dying for simple kidney diseases that have been developed because there's wrong diagnosis is going on. So when you try to praise these things, so we got to be realistic in what is right. We can't be fanatic about the things that are going on in our government. Yes, Liberia is our country, and we wish the best for Liberia because it's the only country we cannot be deported from, according to Darius DeLong. But we got to be realistic. So realistically, the government did a good thing by increasing the budget. Yes. The government did a good thing by moving the budget year to a calendar year. That's an achievement for this government. But to take the increase and now filter it into things that will benefit only the legislature and the executive by putting more money into county tours and this thing and presidential project and this thing and that thing, which we all know that is going towards elections. And mind you, some of the increases in the budget is coming from debt. It's coming from debt from the IMF and the World Bank. And as we check now, our debt stock is at 1.9 billion total, of which at the end of 2017, our debt stock was 1.1 billion. So it has gone up by 769 million. So if you do the math, like Gaiman said, I know math more than him. The previous government in 12 years, if you do the math, if you annualize it, they took 94.5 million a year, if my numbers are correct. So this government in 4 years is taking 192 million per year. So we are taking on more debt and are using these things for things that do not benefit the people directly.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. We've been joined by Pastor Patient Blay Atol. Pastor Patient, welcome to Focus on Liberia. Pastor Patient is she has a program here on Focus on Liberia called The Hour of Purpose. She runs the 45 City TV, where she has another show called Health Matters, which is gaining ground. And a couple of times I've seen Abby on that show. Pastor Patient, so I know it's Sunday. You are preaching somewhere and doing something. So we forgive your time you came in. So go ahead and tell us. We are at the tail end now. Just tell us about your show, what it's about, where you see that in 2022, and overall our country.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be on this platform tonight. This is actually my foundation. This is where, going on life started from. So, and I want to say hi to the rest of the team that are here tonight. I wrote this program called The Hour of Purpose. And it's a motivational program. It's more of, telling people that all is not lost. The word of God tells us in Jeremiah 29, verse 11, and God said, "For I know the thoughts that I think towards you, said the Lord, thoughts of peace, not of evil, to give you an expected end." So God's plan for our lives is more than what we see, more than the challenges that we experience. And most of the time, we allow ourselves or we allow the challenges to overwhelm us, and then we lose focus in the process. But we have come, to encourage people from all walks of life that, no matter where you find yourself at a particular point in time, no matter what is happening to you, there is something greater that God has placed in you that you're supposed to fulfill here on earth. Inside of us, there is a purpose for every man. All of us have something that we must achieve before we pass on. And in order to achieve that thing, the first thing we need to do is to identify what God has placed us here for. Most of the time, we get diverted, we lose our way, distraction, and all kinds of things happen along the way. But then we are here during the hour of purpose to bring us back on track, to tell us, well, it's okay if you lost your way. It's okay if you miss, where you are going. But the main thing here is to make sure you come back on track. So hopefully this year we are looking forward to greater things as it concerns the hour of purpose. I believe there are other things that will interplay, and it's going to be better than what it was in 2021. And also, I want to say, hi to one of my contributors, Abby. She has been a regular on Health Matters. 3 John 3, tells us that, beloved, I wish above all things that thou may prosper, be in health, even as our soul prosper. And most of the time, Christian, we are just focused on heaven, heavenly prosperity. Maybe we are focused on, we go into heaven. That's what it is, and that's all we do. We pray 24/7, we fast, and we do all the gymnastics that we do as when we get together in church or when we gather in church. But there is more to it. God is interested in your health as well, your physical health. He wants you healed. He wants you well. He wants you to live long, because if you don't live long, you will not fulfill purpose. And in the process, he has given us choices. He does not force himself or anyone. So all these programs, they put together to bring to pass your purpose, your divine purpose here on earth. So I'm glad that the Lord has deposited that in my spirit, and I'm glad I took up the challenge and I'm obeying. There are times that we lost our way, and there's times that we get overwhelmed with so many things. If I tell you the kind of things I'm involved with, he will, But nevertheless, I'm glad that the hour of purpose is still running.
Thank you.
Before we
Hallelujah,
get up,
hallelujah, Pastor Patience.
yeah. And my brother Dennis have been one person in Anthony that have been on my back encouraging me. Pastor Patience, I appreciate you guys. Appreciate you very much. God bless
Amen.
you.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you. When Ellis started getting spiritual?
I know.
On TV.
I want to thank all of you. And
I go to church every Sunday.
I'm very fortunate.
I have a very prayerful wife.
Oh, good. That's a good one.
Are you Celia's brother? Is Alex Celia's brother?
Yes.
Okay.
My older sister.
Okay.
All right. I want to thank you so much for coming, and I'm very proud of all of you, and that you allow me to be the head of this team, and listening to sometimes my thoughts, some of which may not be so bright, but you continue to work with us here at Focus on Liberia. The goal here is to build this big network that can take over the country, to educate, to elevate, and promote all things Liberia. So for your closing statement, as we draw down the curtains, again, the show has been about the entire FOL team. This is Happy New Year. We want to set goals for the new year, look back at 2021, and then based on where we've been, build upon that for 2022. So let's go around the room, and let's see again, if you have any message to our viewers, any message to what has FOL meant to you, and for some of us that we are partnering, that we are affiliating, and we still have our Big Ten open. to even those that are going to come in. Again, we are rolling a couple of new shows for 2022. So let's go around the room, starting with Mr. Sharif. Mr. Sharif, your closing comments, and let's do 1 minute as we are all out of time now.
Sure. I want to end where I started, wishing everyone a happy, very prosperous and purposeful new year. And as we get into this new year, it is my hope that we will all continue to work together as a team. And, I am very grateful to our listeners for their feedback, whether it's positive or negative. So that keeps me going. One of the things that I believe in, and I said earlier, is I am not on the show to praise sing. I'm not a praise singer. So I look at issues objectively. And so if that causes any issues with anyone, I make no apologies. Because at the end of the day, I look at the concerns and the well-being of the broad masses of the Liberian people. And I look at the metrics and government performance, expectation and performance. A lot of times, performance is really short. So the people are being shortchanged. And so my analysis is based around that. We've talked about a lot of issues. I mentioned ritualistic killing. We talked about the criminal justice system. We've talked about education. All of these things are what we expect that the government should be addressing instead of paying themselves handsomely. It is not happening right now. It is my hope that in 2022 there will be improvement. So happy New Year to everyone.
Thank you. Pastor Patient.
Well, I want to be grateful to God for where we are today and where I am. There's something that I copied from someone, and I told the person, I said, I'm gonna copy it, I'm gonna share this. And the person said, go ahead. So I want to read a little bit, even though I added one or two things. This 2022, the person said, for health, see the doctor, watch what you eat and work out. For money, go to work, save and sell something. For love, be honest and sincere in your relationships. Oh, yeah. For success, work hard, be patient and persevere. For happiness, make yourself happy first. You can't make somebody else happy if you yourself not happy. For salvation, emancipate yourself from religious mental slavery. Have a personal relationship with your Lord, with Jesus Christ. For finance, have a budget for everything you want. Stop buying on credit. For career advancement, get additional qualifications, study hard, and work extra hard. Take more responsibility for your faith in 2022. God bless you.
Thank you. Mr. Coffee.
Yes, my closing comment will be, it will be an advice to the president of Liberia. And it will be on, because this is something that I feel passionate about, on the fight against corruption. I would advise the president for the government to exercise the political will to fight corruption, because this is one of the things that is eating us up from generation to generation, that is not allowing us to do the things that we're supposed to be doing for the country. Because if you look at corruption, it's in twofold. What is the country's legal and institutional framework to prevent and combat corruption? So the anti-corruption laws, regulation, policy, as well as the institution. Do we have that? Yes, we have those institutions. We have the Internal Audit Agency, we have the General Auditing Commission, we have the Public Procurement and Concession Commission, we have the FIU, the Financial Intelligence Unit, which I headed before. We have the LACC, that's the Anti-Corruption Commission. We have the the Election Commission, and all these institutions, we have them. And those institutions have been put in place a long time during the Salif government. And that is why we continue to pass the Millennium Challenge Scorecard, because once we have this institution and the laws, we are what we call technically compliant. So we'll continue to pass. It takes 50% to pass. So we score 52. So we pass on account of the institution being there consistently. But the other aspect of corruption is the extent to which public power is exercised for private gain, and the capture of the state by elites and private interests. And that is what we are lacking in our country. The perception that government officials on the executive side, on the judiciary side, and on the legislative side are in corruption. The fact that we do not have trust in the public honesty, financial honesty of our politicians. The fact that nepotism, cronyism, and patronage is embedded in our civil service institution. The fact that corruption is making our country unattractive for foreign direct investment. That is impeding, or one of the elements that is impeding the growth of our private sector. So the president of Liberia will do well in mustering the political will to fight corruption hands down, on not the one, the cherry picking thing that is going on, the window dressing stuff that is going on. We're talking about real corruption. Because when you look at corruption, you investigate the cases, you take it to court, somebody is found guilty, property is seized or property is confiscated back to the state. And we are not, that's the efficiency, effectiveness compliance, which we are lacking.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Mr. Gaiman.
Thank you very much. One of the things that, one of my proudest movements on the show was when I met you, we talked about Dr. Patrick Lumumba's entrance into the United States. And a brilliant interview that you did with Dr. Lumumba. And when he calls me once in a while, I ask him, are you coming back? And he will say that. Right after that interview, I called one of my former professors, Dr. Michael Dukakis, and I invited him to come and discuss Liberia. He said, Jerome, I'm 80-something years old. It's a focus on Liberia, so, go get Liberian politicians. So I was fortunate to get Paul Jack Klein. He's now at the University of Dubrovnik in Croatia. And he may be somebody that I have interest in that you need to interview, because he will relate directly to the issues of Liberia and what we put into place, what he put into place to where we are. But that being said, I am I find myself very, very fortunate to be on the platform as this one. My political activities have always been in the United States, on both sides of the aisle, never in Liberia per se. So I'm glad to be here. One of the things that my pastor preached on today, I go to the St. Paul AMB church here, and the pastor says, ladies and gentlemen, 2022 should be a year of working together. And then she played a video at the Animal Planet and show the ants hill and see millions of ants, small ants, carrying big leaves. These things are carrying something maybe 10 times their weight. There are millions of them. They take the leaves from point A to point B. They work together without anybody bumping anybody and pushing people to fall or causing chaos. They do that, and they basically move mountains. And this is what we need to do. Everybody cannot have their own separate talk show. Everybody cannot have their own everything. Somebody has it. The Coffees of the world, the Cheries of the world, the Givens of the world, the Tylers, if we all put our efforts together, we can build an institution without bumping anybody off, without insulting or offending anybody. We can make this work, and we can be that beacon of hope that Liberia will see and say, wow, if we work together, we can do this, instead of the individual thing that everybody is trying to do, and then they try to bump each other. So I look at that after the service today. I went to my pastor. I said, you know what? I think 2022 is going to be a year of renaissance. We are going to learn to work together. So, Mr. Jai, we are here. I can speak for myself, and I know my professional partners here. this is a big leaf. We all going to carry it, and we are not going to bump into each other. We are not going to offend each other, and we're going to see that this thing reaches to the top of the hill. Thank you very much for giving me the platform to at least express my thoughts.
Thank you so much. And you also told me that the reason snake can always end up in somebody's path is because snakes love to walk alone.
That's correct.
If you have 10 snakes coming,
everybody runs.
Not even your village can stand just 10 snakes, let alone 100 snakes. But because they walk alone, that's why we're quick to knock their head. Abby, you got the last word.
Oh, okay. I just want to say thank you for having me ride your coattails from further exposure. Thank you also to Pastor Patience as well. You know, be able to reach other audiences. I just want to say, you know, thanks to the other panelists as well. Happy New Year. And like you said, you know, when you think of healthcare, think of Abby. So I want to get to that point where it's like, you know, think of Abby. And I'm not saying I'm the only one. It's like that song where we used to sing back in the day, "Live for Jesus." You know, I'm not the only one who can sing this melody, but he's chosen me to bless me and to lead me into what is best for me. So when I was a little girl, I wanted to be said there I wanted to be a missionary, and I wanted to be a nun when I was in Catholic school, and that wasn't going to work out because I got a mouth on me. So, but anyways, in a way, I'm doing what I think I was blessed to do, to be able to like reach people through healthcare, and it's always a service to God as well. So I'm happy to be doing that. I hope to improve. I hope to be, when people see me out there, to be like, okay, yes, I'm thinking of my healthcare. I'm thinking of my health. I'm thinking of my health and all that. So thank you so much to you, to Pastor Patience, to everybody, to all my audience, everybody who's been watching me, to those who think I talk against George Weah because I'm this and that. This same advocacy, I was just as strong and even stronger when President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was in power. So I didn't just change because I don't like George Weah. It was always been pure advocacy for the people who can least afford it. So thank you. And Mr. Gaiman, hopefully someday you and I can have a private chat.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, all of you. Again, I'm blessed to be part of this, to get all of you in one room so that we can discuss Liberia. And someone was asking if it was this Mr. Gaiman who was kissing the soil in Liberia. No, it was not. This was Gilman, not Gaiman. So that's the question. This guy, he said, Gaiman, you sound like a smart guy until I saw you kissing the ground in the CDC headquarters. I gave up on this stuff. So that was Mr. Y. Michael Gilman.
That's correct.
Kissing the ground. And if I get to Liberia too, I think I'm going to kiss the ground because that's where my neighbor's friend is. On that note, I want to thank you all. Again, we end with our song that says we are all Liberians and we must do whatever it takes to make that country the glorious land of liberty. Good night, ladies and gentlemen, and God bless you. Good night to all viewers. Happy New Year, and bye-bye.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our